And we're talking to Don about his new project. Well, we'd like to talk to you today about your project, a new CD that was just released.
Yep, D-Drive. Straight Up the Middle is the title. Features Joe Lana on drums, various people on bass, actually. We had a few bass parts that I laid down that worked out to be a better fit than what the other regular bass player that we had at the time did. And Richard Graham plays bass and guitar on it from the Lou Graham Band. Andy Knoll, of course, is one of our main keyboard players. He does the whole record. He did a knock-up job on all the keyboard production. We have a couple real nice production numbers on there that he did up like orchestration to, and it was beautiful. John Taylor, who's our bass player that actually plays with us live, and Phil Nero, of course, on 98% of the vocals, and Lou Graham on backgrounds and influential parts. And the album's basically kind of, it's similar to the first D-Drive record, if you ever heard that, as far as being hard rock, more up-tempo, and still more of the R&B, 80s type of roots. But we branched out in a couple different directions on this one, which was a lot of fun, and seems to be paying off because all the reviews of it so far on the internet and different publications that we've been in have favored it, even when they don't know who we are and don't know the first album. So it was fun to do, and we're looking forward to getting out there and doing some shows this winter to sell it.
Are you guys looking to do any videos to promote it?
Yeah, actually we've got a guy who does all our live stuff. I have 2 videos of the release shows that we did in May that wants to shoot a video for the title cut, Straight Up the Middle, which I actually did a vocal cameo on. Everybody insisted that I sing something, so I did this little thing to the title cut that's kind of like a rap part, white boy rap.
Something like Linkin Park?
Yeah, kind of like that, only, I have more of a subtler voice than that, so I don't have the true animal rap instinct in it, so it's a little more laid back.
How many tracks were on the CD?
Yeah, 12 tracks in all. Various tracks. We tried to lean more towards 2 guitars, bass and drums, keeping it straightforward rock on this one. We did a few production numbers that were more, the type of thing that all guys I hang out with are into as far as the Beatles stuff, and doing orchestrated things, just something different. And we actually do have a couple positive message songs in there that are Christian rock, basically, if you listen into the lyrics. One's called Pray for Tomorrow, which has been doing real well for us. The other one, Another Funky Day.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add about the new CD?
No, not really. Very radio friendly. If you have a format, you can usually fit one of some of those songs into it. It's very radio friendly. It seems to fit with just about anything from the 80s up to now, except for maybe hardcore and thrash.
And what are you working on now as far as the future? Any project you're working on?
Lou's solo album is basically the main focus right now. For me, that's the priority. I am also working with Reggie Hendrix, who is Jimi Hendrix's cousin on his mother's side or whatever, a very talented guy, artist, and a writer. He's writing actually a child's book right now. And we're working on putting his first solo album out because he likes the music and feel that I provide for him. So I play out a few times a year with him, and he wants to put something out there. He's got a label, Shrapnel. It's very big on the West Coast that's interested in it, so we're trying to finish like a 5-song demo and proceed to finish his album.
Good.
Outside of that, working on the tunes for the next D-Drive record and trying to get out there and play live with that band while the Graham Band is on sabbatical playing live this winter.
Who was your influences growing up in the business?
Probably the same as Lou's with the Beatles. That was the big thing. Steppenwolf. I used to listen to them a lot. Bands like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, I was really into the Straws, which is a very unknown band, but they were from England, part of the English British invasion that came over. A lot of that stuff actually free. I was heavily influenced by Paul Kossoff, which a lot of people can discern when they hear. That's like my calling card. When they hear my vibrato on guitar and the way I play, they usually go, I know where you got that, that influence. I mean, Hendrix, of course. He was one of my biggest heroes from like the first time I picked up a guitar. I was just floored by what that guy could do with a guitar.
If you could play with any guitars today, who would you like to play with?
Hendrix. You mean about
live? Anybody can walk in that door right now.
I don't know. There's a lot of great guitar players that Jeff Beck, that would be the guy. He's probably the closest thing to Hendrix that's still on the planet. I mean, there's other great guitar players that I'd still be enamored with that I look up to, but he's one of the pinnacles probably that even when he thinks he sucks, I'm standing there going, I'm not a guitar player.
And here's a question I forgot to ask Lou. Why did you choose the guitar over any other instrument?
Probably because it was easiest as far as financing and carrying around. And I mean, I do play a little bit of keyboards. I wrote Can't Dig My Way Out of Here off the first Speed Drive album on keyboards. I didn't write it on guitar. I've done it. I actually like Lou, it's the poke and stab method. Yeah, this sounds good. I've had a little bit of training on keyboards. I took a year of piano, so I could actually learn to play a little bit more and understand what I was doing. But drums I've always wanted to play. I practiced for a year or two and got good enough to keep a beat and realized, leave it to a guy that's on drums, to do that. And Louis is actually a drummer too. He used to play drums in Black Sheep, the original band. So we all go around on different instruments and experiment. But guitar was just, I don't know, it just came second nature that I was willing to put the time in and work on it for that 4 or 5 year stint that it takes you to get over the hump and start realizing what you can do on it.
Great. And getting back to the beginning of music, for a musician starting out today, what advice would you like to give them?
Now, I would say stick by your guns with what you believe musically. If you think you've got the creative ability to do what your vision is, just do it. Don't follow the trends. It's good to be influenced by other people and form a direction based on what you like and what you think is cool, but inevitably what it comes down to is what you see as being your creative strengths, going with that, no matter what the market says or what the record companies tell you, because most of them today don't even know what they're looking for. It's just like in the old days, they're throwing copper. They throw money into something and hope for the best. A lot of them, succeed, a lot fail. So if you just keep doing what you believe in, it'll happen.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
I think it was that, probably from Lou, was, be true to your school. Say if you got a style, don't try to change it for what's, selling millions of records out there right now.
Great. And as far as the business itself, what do you like best about the business?
I think I like the fact that there is a lot of opportunities out there, especially with the internet now. And it's opened a lot of doors for younger musicians to get their stuff, or even older musicians that just haven't made it or still doing it, to get their stuff out there in a big way to hundreds, thousands of people on the internet. MySpace, and that was designed for musicians. I mean, and it's taken off great guns to be everything from a syndicated friend network to now, people like Obama placing their trust in trying to get them elected on it because it's so big. So I think that's what I like the best about it, is that it's branched out into something more than, you're great in your own city, but you can't do anything anywhere else.
And if you had the power to change anything in the music business, what would you like to see?
I'd like to see radio open up again, and just, do the type of things that you're doing and be more open-minded to playing different types of music, not the narrow format of, okay, these guys pay us X amount of dollars a day. You're basically doing commercial radio at that point. You're selling the stuff that you're paid, so that's what I would change.
I believe Bruce has a new CD coming out, and that's what the title track is, Radio Nowhere, where he talks the same thing about how he's tired of listening to the same song over and over again. Where's the real musicians at?
Yeah, right.
And then Rick's new song.
Yeah, and then Rick Springfield's new song,
Who Killed Rock and Roll.
Who Killed Rock and Roll.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Where basically says the same thing. Hey, we're musicians. Why can't we be heard?
Yeah.
But like you said, the great thing through MySpace is it allows that door to be open for you guys.
And people are looking for you, especially, like people like Lou and Rick that have been fortunate enough in the past to get it out there in a big way, commercially, then, people will be looking for them, and that's where they find them now.
Mm-hmm. When it's all over, when you had enough of the road and you just want to kick back and relax, enjoy your life with your family, how would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered as being happy at what I was doing. I do. I don't consider myself like an amazingly phenomenal guitar player or anything. I'm a pretty good guitar player, and I'm a good songwriter and collaborator. That's what I'd like to be remembered as. And just enjoying everything I did while I was doing it, because I think that's what gets the right vibe to people.
And if I was to go out in your car today, who would I see in your car you're listening to?
As far as that, anything from Beatles to As I Lay Dying, which is kind of off the beaten path from what I do, but I enjoy that kind of music, especially when As I Lay Dying has a positive Christian message to it, as well as being like some really awesome musicians that can play at the speed of light. You listen to what they do and you just go, huh? For me it's exciting to hear young musicians like that getting out there and actually being successful too, which is really, really nice. But Free, I listen to a lot of Free, Zeppelin, anything that Jimmy Page has been associated with. I'm trying to think of what else. R&B, classical. I listen to a lot of the college stations that play a lot of stuff I'm not even familiar with. I can learn from it, get familiar with some different artists that aren't getting commercial airplay.
And if you were not a musician, what other profession could you see yourself doing?
I've always been an electronics geek, so I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now. With being a musician, I'd probably be an audio engineer, dabble in pro audio gear. I could probably go full-time into designing and, coming up with new technology for computers and audio. That's always been my other fallback passion that I like doing. It's interesting.
And the last question, how did you and Lou meet?
Well, I met him through Bruce Turgan, actually. I was playing at an outdoor show with a blues band that was doing a lot of Deep Purple and that kind of stuff, cover band. But we had maybe 4 or 5 originals. We were just starting to get into that when I was 18, and we were playing an outdoor show at a grammar school area where Bruce's girlfriend lived. And I had my brand new Marshall cranked up to 10 that my father had bought me, and I was like, 810 purple Marshall 50, and it was so loud that it woke him up off the couch, and they happened to be looking for a guitar player because Richard was leaving the Black Sheep at the time to go pursue a band with his brother Benny, doing more progressive type of rock. And Bruce came over and introduced himself, gave me his card, and said, hey, would you be interested in trying out for a band? And I said, yeah, who? And he told me me the name of the band, Black Sheep, and I almost fell over because I had just seen them like 2 or 3 times. They were like the stuff in Rochester at the time as far as underground bands. I went there for the audition, met Lou, and we became writing partners and friends for the next few decades after. Still going at it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's nice to be able to have the opportunity to do this with him again. Something he's looked forward to for a long time.
Yeah, not like you said, not only just a fellow musician, but a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, in this business, it's hard to keep friends.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we lost touch like a lot through the 80s when he was doing the foreigner thing because he was just blasted, catapulted, to such a, an area where he was being hounded by people that weren't his friends. So, his real friends, like, kind of laid back and just waited for him to stop by or call or, caught him when we were at family or friend events. Hey, what's going on?
Well, that's, like you were saying, that's one thing Rick always mentions. He mentions that he looks back at when he was huge. And he, like he said, people that were around him weren't his real friends.
Right.
And he couldn't get to his real friends because they were blocking him. Because there's so many of them. Whereas now, the venues he plays at, they're not as huge, but yet he can come out and see his fans.
Right.
The people, like you said, have been with you since day one.
Yep, that's right.
Which in a way, it's kind of weird because when people start out in the business, the first thing they say, I want to be rich, I want to be famous. And then when they get there, it's like, whoa, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, right now I got to live like a hermit.
Yeah, like a photographer chasing me down the street.
It's not a fun thing. I've seen Lou go through it, even to this day. I mean, even though he's not on the charts and platinum recording artist on his last record, it's a hassle trying to keep your privacy.
What's the craziest thing you've ever experienced on tour, as far as like like a fan or a photog?
Let's see. I think it was on the Kiss tour when Black Sheep was touring with Kiss. There were some real crazy people out. I mean, we were playing 30,000 seaters that were sold out. And, a couple people were in Binghamton or in Florida when we were doing like the East Coast part of the tour. A couple girls jumped up on stage and proceeded to strip down. And the security couldn't get there quick enough, so we got a little bit of a show. That's probably the most outrageous thing that's happened. Usual stalkers after the show.
Yeah.
They find out what hotel you're in and follow you there, torment you.
What's the craziest name you guys ever went under? Assumed name, check in a hotel.
Well, in Black Sheep, we really never had to do that. We were the warm-up act, so it wasn't. We could actually observe. Lou would have more of those stories. I mean, he had to hide, and it was difficult. I've never had anything.
It's great.